Good evening, America. It is 7 p.m. Wednesday, August 5th, and this is Queer News Tonight, the world's first live LGBTQ daily evening news. It is time to queer up the news.
Watch as we bring these and other stories from the LGBTQ headlines. A gay billionaire is quietly funding one of the most anti-LGBTQ candidates in the nation, and Lifetime will have LGBTQ holiday movie this Christmas.
LGBTrump founder arrested twice for defiling Black Lives Matter mural, and religious alt-right group targets LGBTQ-owned Detroit bakery.
And tonight, Wednesday at 8 p.m., we will play our favorite game on It's Happening Out, Shag, Marry, Chop. And I promise you won't want to miss it. Then tomorrow, Thursday at 8 p.m., and Gay Town Hall's amazingly diverse cast from around the LGBTQ community discusses the future of big tech in our community and how our lives will continue to be shaped by it. Also, we give you a heads up that tomorrow on Q News Tonight at 7 and in Gay Town Hall at 8, we are going to do a complete report of a whistleblower in Broward Health's Imperial Point Hospital telling you about what is going on for staff and patients. It'll shock you. We'll give you just a sample example here. Watch this. The first time you were tested is July 3rd, which is only after Broward Health Imperial Point Hospital knew that they had this outbreak taking place in your unit.
Correct.
So in January, February, March, April, May, and June, through 6 months of 2020, you were never tested a single time.
Correct.
This whistleblower is going to absolutely shock you in terms of what he is saying is going on in the hospital. So good evening, America. It is 7 p.m. Wednesday, August 5th, 2020. It is time to queer up the news. We are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your stories we are going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight. Tonight on the world's first live daily queer evening news show.
Tonight's news about the gay community and the news from an LGBTQ perspective. Are our gay stories important to you? In headlines, politics, entertainment, gay culture, travel, religion, and more. Reported by respected anchors.
Out of the closet and into the headlines on Q News Tonight. Thank you for joining Queer News Tonight. We are live and unedited. This is an unedited news show, so anything can happen. This evening, we bring you the news of and a perspective from the LGBTQ community. I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and this is anchor Aaron Darr and Misty Eyes. So let's queer up the news. Tonight, we begin with queer headlines. The LGBTQ community in America is diverse. The LGBTQ community around the world is vast. And we bring you the bullet points of queer news for today, Wednesday, August 5th, 2020. We begin by queering up Vote 2020. Trump says Florida is a well-run state for mail-in ballots. Watch this.
Florida is different from other states. I mean, in Nevada, where you have a governor, he said, let's just send out millions of ballots and the post office cannot be prepared. I haven't spoken to the post office about it, but I don't know how they could possibly be prepared. Florida has been working on this for years, and they have a very good system of mail-in, and that would be absentee or even beyond absentee. So in the case of Florida, there aren't too many people that would qualify. They're so well run. Florida's a very well run state, low taxes, low everything. They've done a great job, really a great job.
Wow. Florida resident Donald Trump encouraged all Floridians to vote by mail Tuesday, just a week after he told Axios interviewer Jonathan Swan that mail-in voting on a large scale results in massive cheating. Whether you call it vote by mail or absentee voting, in Florida, the election system is safe and secure, tried and true. Florida's voting system has been cleaned up, Trump said. Trump did not mention any other states in which he trusts the mail-in voting system in his tweet about Florida. And as of tonight, there have been no follow-up responses from the White House about his updated recommendations from Trump.
I guess hell is going to freeze over here when I say this, but I agree with Donald Trump. Vote by mail here in Florida is the way to vote. If you compare this presidential election to the presidential election cycle of 2016, Republicans were far, far ahead of Democrats in vote by mail. This year, as of today, Democrats are more than 60,000 vote by mail ballots turned in ahead of Republicans. I say, Florida, continue to vote by mail.
Confession. His endorsement makes me a little nervous.
Well, this is a red versus blue issue. Trump said in an interview in follow-up that he thought that former Governor Rick Scott and current Governor DeSantis have done a great job, and that's why you can vote by mail in the state of Florida. But if you're a blue governor, it's bad and it's fraudulent. And of course, this is all political.
It kind of shocks me, honestly, that we're making this about red and blue. I usually thought when we talked about Donald Trump, we made this black and white. So let's go ahead and queer up religion. Religious alt-right group targets LGBTQ-owned Detroit bakery. Good Cakes and Bakes co-owner April Anderson was shocked at the cake requests she received through their online ordering system. At first, it didn't seem unusual, a rainbow-themed pride cake that is popular in the shop. But the message that was asked to be put on the cake was utterly appalling. To quote the order, "I am ordering this cake to celebrate and have pride in true Christian marriage. I'd like you to write on the cake and icing, quote, homosexual acts are gravely evil. Catholic Catechism 2357, unquote." Needless to say, Anderson did not want to fulfill the order, but she didn't wish to run afoul of the law. Thankfully, such writing on a cake is considered compelled speech, and the government can't compel a business to say something against their beliefs. Anderson did, however, deliver a lovely rainbow cake to the person, minus the hateful message. It gives a new meaning to let them eat cake.
Let them eat cake, darling. You know, funny thing, I would have just put Catechism 2357. Sorry, it was too small to put all those words, and just, you know, like we do on our bumper stickers, like Philippians 3:12. There you go, Catechism 2357. You should know the meaning.
Ignorance is ignorance is ignorance is ignorance. I really don't care about cakes. However, is it wrong of me to say, because of the icing and how fattening the icing is and how terrible the quality of the food of the icing is, I don't care if it's pride or it's anti-pride, I still hate the icing. Is that enough?
Well, first off, let me go ahead and endorse the idea of cake. I love cake. I eat it all the time. When they say let them eat cake, I say where.
Next, we clear up the USA. Governor Ron DeSantis admits GOP put up pointless roadblocks so fewer people would sign up for unemployment. Watch this.
That system was designed and implemented during the Rick Scott administration. Do you think that was Rick Scott's intention, was to discourage people from applying for benefits?
I'm not sure if it was his, but I think definitely in terms of how it was internally constructed, you know, it was definitely done in a way to lead to the least number of claims.
In an interview with CBS's Miami Jim Fede, Governor Ron DeSantis admitted that Florida Republicans, led by his predecessor, deliberately crippled the state's unemployment system so that fewer out-of-work people could apply for benefits, while DeSantis seemingly wanted to distance from the fact that his ally, now Senator and former Governor of Florida, Rick Scott, designed the process this way. DeSantis did say it was definitely done in a way to lead to the least number of claims being paid out. For months, Florida Republicans have faced allegations that the unemployment system was broken by design. It has been a massive obstacle, and the coronavirus pandemic has shuttered businesses and left millions out of work and reliant on unemployment insurance. It appears those accusations were right on the money, by the governor's own admission, and yet he has awarded the company that created the unemployment website a $135 million contract to help revamp the state's Medicaid website.
You know, we talk about voting matters about 10,000 times at Queer News Tonight. It's just another example. Why did we elect Rick Scott, Senator of Florida? And when DeSantis comes up for re-election, why would we elect him governor of the state of Florida?
It's very frustrating, especially as there continues to be an ongoing investigation into the unemployment website. Yet Ron DeSantis has just recently awarded a $135 million contract when his predecessor had previously awarded a $77 million contract. Just 2 weeks ago, the state announced that they're going to be laying off 180 additional new hirees that were tasked to operate the unemployment system with answering calls and the intake of cases and any technical issues that may arise. Once again, this is a lack of leadership and a complete and total failure by both Rick Scott and our current governor, Ron DeSantis.
You said so many things that I lost what I was going to say. Skip.
We are going to next queer up the world by reporting the Australian government officially recommends the use of gender-neutral language. Watch this.
Universities are now banning words like mankind and workmanship. Even she, man, wife and mother are off limits on some campuses.
I think that banning these kind of words creates a certain environment where students can become anxious about how they're speaking and what they're writing in assignments.
This is political correctness gone mad. It's idiotic and it needs to stop. Political correctness is essentially about respect.
A proposed style manual released by the Australian government recommends the use of gender-neutral language in official state content. It suggests that government employees should use inclusive language, which conveys gender equality and is gender-neutral. The guide promotes the use of the singular they and offers guidance on LGBTQ terminology. The new guidance has yet to be made permanent. The agency is soliciting public feedback before these 2020 guidelines are finalized.
Well, first off, I have to say bravo. To quote my favorite Tracy, I'm all for integration. It's the new frontier. This is not just about being politically correct. It's not about that at all. It's about being inclusive and sympathetic and empathetic to those who may be different from you.
I find it ironic that they are banning gendered terminology. I wonder if it would go as far as to say menopause and menstruation, taking the men out of things. But I'm very for gender neutral language. And I've said this a couple times on the show, they was awarded 2019 Singular Word of the Year.
The major newsworthiness of this story is Australia becomes the first country in the world to embrace gender-neutral language on a national basis, a federal implementation of gender-neutral language. So congratulations, Australia, for being the first in the world to get there.
Next, we queer up Vote 2020. Virginia mayor compares Biden's vice presidential hopefuls to Aunt Jemima in racist Facebook post. A suspected white supremacist mayor posted to Facebook that Joe Biden has just announced Aunt Jemima as his VP pick. The racist and derogatory comment was aimed at the many women of color that pundits speculate are candidates for Biden's vice president. The author of the post, Mayor Barry Pressgraves of Luray, Virginia, has not responded to press requests, and he is conspicuously absent from his office. We are all anxiously awaiting the announcement of who it will be, but regardless of who it is, they all deserve better than what critics have said is mindless rhetoric from the mayor.
You know, that mayor looks like the Michelin Man.
Can I echo what Aaron said? We are all anxiously awaiting, Mr. Mayor, your comments on our story.
This is very frustrating to me because allegedly, as of today, it's been narrowed down to 2 African-American women, former National Security Advisor Susan Rice and Senator from California Kamala Harris, whether it be being called Aunt Jemima or whether it being called too ambitious. There's one thing that I've learned from all of this: a woman's place is in the White House.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well said. Next, we queer up entertainment. History is made. Lifetime will have LGBTQ holiday movie this Christmas. Lifetime has gifted our community an early Christmas present. The cable network has announced that their upcoming slate of holiday movies will include a Christmas setup, the network's first.
Queer Up the World and reporting at least 135 are dead tonight in Beirut explosion. Trump falsely claims it was an attack. At least 135 people were killed and 4,000 wounded in a massive explosion that shook Beirut on Tuesday, state-run media reported, citing the Red Cross. It's still unclear what exactly caused the explosion. Lebanon's prime minister said an investigation would focus on an estimated 2,750 metric tons of the explosive ammonium nitrate stored at a warehouse in the city. President Trump has used the phrasing that this was an attack, but it is important to clarify that thus far there is no proof that this has surfaced. The thoughts of the LGBTQ community in America are with you tonight, Lebanon.
Next, we queer up gay culture. LGBTrump founder arrested twice for defiling Black Lives Matter mural. Mark David Hutt, founder of the LGBTrump Facebook group, was arrested twice in one weekend and accused of defacing the Black Lives Matter mural painted on New York City's Fifth Avenue. The mural sits just underneath Trump Tower in Midtown Manhattan, where the president maintains an apartment. Hutt's pro-Trump Facebook page has nearly 14,000 followers. The page describes the group as a political organization and a group of proud, patriotic Trump supporters. Hutt cited reason for the criminal activity, standing with the NYPD against Black Lives Matter. Did not appear to move the police much when they arrested him, though, for criminal mischief.
Next, we queer up religion. White supremacist statue in U.S. Capitol to be replaced with a bust of brazenly homophobic preacher Billy Graham. So sorry. That was a word swap. A statue of white supremacist Charles Aycock in the U.S. Capitol is set to be replaced by a life-size monument to the late evangelical and homophobic Billy A. Graham. A Democratic bill sought to remove all busts and statues of individuals with a history of racist and intolerance, but Graham's history of advocating against the LGBTQ community did not preclude him from having a statue. Former State Representative Dan Susak, who proposed the switch, said the statue should be of someone who made an impact on the lives of North Carolinians. We suppose it is just a matter of time before the Trump statue legislation starts popping up in states.
Busty Graham. We got it.
Busty's probably not the first word I think of when I think of Billy Graham. I usually think of racist
And this
or
unedited.
or Yosemite.
Live and unedited, you guys. I'm so
All right.
sorry.
We told you, we're unedited. We queer up Vote 2020 tonight in reporting a gay billionaire is quietly funding one of the most anti-LGBT candidates in the nation. Peter Thiel, the gay tech billionaire and Republican activist who spoke at the 2016 GOP convention, threw his money behind an anti-LGBTQ candidate, Chris Kobach of Kansas, who was running for the U.S. Senate seat open in the state. Kobach ended up losing in Tuesday's race, but it doesn't diminish what critics have called a disconnect from Thiel, who is possibly putting his financial well-being above the needs of many in the LGBTQ community who have been negatively impacted and affected if such a staunch advocate against LGBT rights had made it to the Senate next year. Kobach has for his part, has expressed such radical views as the HRC promotes homosexual pedophilia, along with a much maligned record on immigration.
Can't make this up, folks, so we're going to queer up the world. Man charged with hate crime after stealing a rainbow flag and setting it on fire during Brighton's Pride weekend. A man in Brighton was detained on suspicion of stealing a rainbow flag and setting it alight on Saturday. The suspect, Abdel Hakim Ismaili, 36, was detained by Sussex police and was charged with committing a homophobic hate crime in the southern port town. The incident took place on the very day that thousands of LGBTQ folk from Brighton and beyond would have been spilling out of nearby Preston Park after seeing the goddess of pop, a woman who I share the same birthday, Mariah Carey. Yet the coronavirus, the rampaging pathogen which has gnawed at the country's pride calendars, forced organizers to postpone the event until 2021.
Now let's catch up on all the news surrounding COVID-19 with our segment called Quarantine Quickies. The first story tonight is our daily reporting of the coronavirus facts, especially important to the LGBTQ community. First, we report on coronavirus case numbers. Based on the standard acceptance of 7% population being the LGBTQ community, the world's LGBTQ COVID-19 cases stand at 1,319,615, while America's LGBTQ COVID-19 cases stand at 346,340. We remind you of something that apparently the president doesn't understand. America is ground zero of the pandemic, which means the USA is just 4.4% of the world's population, and today America amounts to 26.2% of the world's cases. Next, we report on coronavirus deaths. The world's LGBTQ COVID-19 deaths stand at 49,521, while America's LGBTQ COVID-19 deaths stand at 11,276. The U.S. is 22.7% of all of the world's deaths.
Next on Quarantine Quickies, Trump says on COVID-19, we are at the bottom of the list, and that's a good thing. So watch this.
It's giving them a false sense of security.
Now, I think it's under control. I'll tell you what.
How? 1,000 Americans are dying a day.
They are dying. That's true. And it is what it is. But that doesn't mean we aren't doing everything we can. It's under control as much as you can.
In a recent interview, Donald Trump seemed indifferent to the reality of our nation's standing during this pandemic. When it was pointed out that the cases were on the rise, Trump countered that fatalities are at roughly half the level of the April peak. During the interview, he cherry-picked statistics to support his argument. According to Trump, a few states in particular were doing very well. Ironically, the states he named, Florida, Michigan, Ohio, and you guessed it, Pennsylvania, are all perennial swing states. Perennial swing states, which are likely to cost him the upcoming election.
We're doing good, guys. Perfect.
I thought Jonathan Swann's interview was absolutely brilliant. Trump tried his best with reports. I've got a report here. And Swann calls him out specifically. It's not the amount of testing that is going on that's important. It is the number of coronavirus cases by percentage of population and the number of deaths by percentage of population, which is exactly what we have been reporting every single night at Queer News Tonight for 6 straight months.
I have to share some frustration, I'm sure, as someone who myself have worked in politics for the last 12 years, and I can only imagine what the staff at the White House and those who are connected to Donald Trump's re-election campaign are thinking after watching this interview. Just like all of the voters in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin are all thinking this is going to cost him the election.
Quarantine Quickies. Mississippi mandates masks and delays school openings. Watch this.
Starting at 8 this morning, people in Mississippi statewide will now be required to wear masks in public. Governor Tate Reeves issuing 2 executive orders on Tuesday. One is that new statewide mask order. The other delays the beginning of the school year in 8 counties, including George County, to August 17th. Students in Greene County are still scheduled to return to class tomorrow. The order remains in effect until August 17th.
Mississippi is on track to become the #1 state for new COVID cases, but Governor Tate's new temporary mask mandate and his decision to delay reopening schools might change the state's trajectory. Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves seems to finally understand the gravity of COVID's potential effect on his constituency. His plan to pump the brakes in the hardest hit areas could save countless lives. It remains to be seen if people in the state will defy these orders, as some have promised to do so on their social media.
We have reported repeatedly that masks are a political issue. We're glad to see that this is the first governor in a southern state to do this, especially a red state. If the White House Coronavirus Commission and the White House would have done this 4 months ago, mandated mask in the United States, we would be sitting today in a completely different situation.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. I think the easiest thing that we all can do to combat the spread of coronavirus is wear a mask. It's that easy.
It's sad our president was afraid to tell people they had to wear a mask, so left it up to the governors. And it's amazing to see some red states like Mississippi to mandate mask wearing.
Next, we're going to queer up our segment called Good News. After we finish our headlines, we want to report on something that made us smile today in good news.
So let's queer up that good news. Get this. Queer News Tonight endorses Trump's re-election campaign endorsement of Maine Senator Susan Collins. Well, kind of. In a series of clever videos promoted by the Lincoln Project, Trump impersonator J.L. Colvin delivered scathing mock endorsements for 3 Republican senators who are running for re-election this year. In one of the videos about Susan Collins, Colvin calls out Collins' hypocrisies and the ways that she will vote completely contrary to the talking points that she feeds to the media. In all, we at Q News Tonight fully support this endorsement. Watch this.
The great Susan Collins, she is one of a kind. And she's in a tough race, but she's one of my favorites. She's one of our sort of top people in the Senate, okay? I love what she's done, and I strongly endorse endorsement. We're doing strong endorse. We endorse Ivanka. That sounds kind of like, could be sort of a lingerie company, endorse. You know, maybe you could model it. Well, let's see if we can get a patent. I think you could. Don't you think she could do pretty well with that? Well, anyway, you know, I strongly endorse Susan Collins. Okay, we have this great relationship, strong relationship. You know, she's always going out and saying things like, oh, she's disappointed in me and she thinks I've learned things. But then she does exactly what I want every time. So it's like one of those old romantic comedies where, you know, will they, won't they sort of thing. It's a beautiful thing. And I gave a strong speech on lobster that one time. So, you know, it's a give and take, but she has given so strongly to me on the big things, on the big ones. You know, she gave me Kavanaugh, right? Mike, that wasn't so great for the women, right? Not so great, but you gotta punish them. It's what we do. And then, even better than that, the impeachment, the Russia hoax. She was so strong for me. She was so strong. And then, did you hear what she said after? She went on all the media, all the talk shows, all the fake news, and said she hoped I'd learned a lesson. And that's what she does. She goes on the talk shows, she says very stupid things, and then I do exactly what I want with no repercussion, no consequences. So I love that she does that for me. It's the same habit. She goes out, she says stupid things. She pretends like she's not going to vote with me, not support me, and then she totally supports me. So I strongly endorse Susan Collins.
The Lincoln Project is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Tonight, we are broadcasting from our studio set in the middle of the World AIDS Museum and Educational Center. The museum is in Wilton Manors in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
We joke that we're coming from the gayest place on planet Earth.
We'd also like to thank our set designer, Concepto Modern Living here in Fort Lauderdale, for making this set in this living museum possible. We end tonight's broadcast with the big finish, short story mentions of LGBTQ news or news with a gay perspective. So here we go. First on Q News tonight's The Big Finish. Biden announces a $280 million fall media ad buy in just 15 states.
And mind you, this $280 million fall ad buy comes as Donald Trump cancels all of his ad buys that he had previously scheduled throughout battleground states.
I'm not sure what to say here. On one hand, I want to say he doesn't need to buy any ads. And on the other hand, I want him to promote in every frickin' state.
Biden has given you the blueprint of how he plans to win the election November 3rd. This, at the same time, we hear Trump is pulling out of states like Michigan. Soon the flag of racist Southerners is just going to be a white flag of surrender. The big finish. LGBTQ America celebrates National Underwear Day?
I didn't know there was such a day. I have nothing to say really about this.
Today would be a good day to get caught with your pants down. And by the way, does anybody remember the magazine Undergear?
I was 7. I was like 7.
Silence. I love being gay. Did I say that out loud, out of my head? I love being gay. The fact that this is such a celebrated day, my friend Andrew Christian, it makes all of those decades of hard work worth it. God bless the United States of gay. The big finish. Now you're just piling on, America. Apparently, Ellen is the talk show Karen.
Who?
Who? Come on, leave Ellen alone!
They always come after powerful women. Don't let them get you down, girl. Just like AOC, you're a wonderful fucking bitch. The big finish. Florida still the freak show state as a man attacks Florida Lyft driver over a COVID-19 plastic barrier.
It doesn't surprise you. That's why they call us Florida.
Not just a Florida freak show, but he is a drunk freak show. And I'm glad this driver had a camera.
You know, I constantly attack Florida as freak show and Australia. And this is exactly what I get for clowning on Australia so hard yesterday. Florida felt a disturbance in its dominance of crazy and sought to correct it. The big finish. U.S. obesity epidemic could undermine the effectiveness of COVID-19 vaccine.
What is with all of these stories, y'all? Sometimes I wonder if I'm coming to work, if this is an intervention. Let them eat cake, damn it.
You know, this is interesting. I hear a lot about obesity things and people overweight. I am a woman that is overweight, but I also get a flu shot each and every year, and knock on wood, I never get sick.
Aaron, could you bring your head over here? I used to weigh 500 pounds. It's a well-known fact. I am thankful that today I am literally less than half, more than that, half of the person that I used to be. I don't think I could live like that in today's reckless America. It really would scare me in terms of COVID. Of course, I'm Superman because I have antibodies.
You're a survivor.
The big finish. I've got to get this right. Trump's Yosemite becomes a new national park with towering sequoia trees.
I have to tell you, at first glance, when Trump heard that he was going to get a national park full of Yosemites, he was so excited because he can do whatever he wants with any of these statues. He can erect a statue of his favorite politician, past and present, like Adolf Hitler.
Girl, you know I would love to read our president for not knowing how to pronounce a national state park. But bitch, I just messed up Mississippi tonight.
Badly.
Badly. I know how to say Mississippi, y'all.
All right, so come on, y'all. You've heard of Yosemite's Sam. Oh, well.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
He used to have guns Mississippi. He used to have guns in those kids' cartons shooting things up. The sequoia trees are so beautiful in the autumn. No? Just me? I don't usually like to make fun of mispronunciation because I do it frequently. After all, I am not perfect, and it can sometimes mean that from the person I learned a word from reading it. But give me a break, Mr. President. You're the president.
We have to say that this was a very heartwarming story for somebody like Al, because Mississippi, the very first word he learned how to spell in college.
MISSISSIPPI.
And that's today's news for the LGBTQ community, folks, on the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Speaking of spelling, Aaron can do that real good, y'all. Remember, if it's important to the LGBTQ community, it's important to Queer News Tonight. But you must help us. Please click subscribe on YouTube and share this news.
We are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. This is the only source of live,
and unedited,
like Aaron,
very unedited,
LGBTQ news in the world. Your community needs your support.
And you are not alone. We will get through this crisis. I swear to God we will, I promise.
We are here with you, and this is Queer News Tonight.
Thank you for joining us, and I'm so glad this show is over. I'm Ferguson, and on behalf of my partners, Misty Eyes and Aaron Dar, who probably won't be here tomorrow night.
I learned how to spell LGBTQ, y'all! Yay!
See you daily and tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Good night, America.